Good day, everybody. Welcome to May 12th, 2025. Let's talk about Santa Clarita real estate, what's happening, and give you an idea of how the market is currently moving forward. 712 total active listings on the market for sale currently. That's single family residences, condominiums, townhomes. A lot of people are talking about interest rate, and that seems to be a big buyer holdback currently. And I do know that the government's trying to, the Fed lower that rate, and he, of course, is not having any part of that. But it looks like the government seems to be getting what they want in a lot of other economic realms. Maybe in short order, that interest rate could drop. The issue with that for you buyers out there, if you're behind that ball and the interest rate drops and you still haven't purchased real estate, it's going to make the market a lot more competitive than where it is currently. That includes the Santa Clarita market and other very dynamic markets such as ours, where we still do have a high buyer demand. We still have listings that are selling within 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the price. In addition, sellers are getting close to, and in some cases more than 100% of their actual listing price. So they're getting the full listing price plus. Currently, we're seeing a lot of price reductions in the market, but these price reductions are on properties that have been put on the market for way above their actually potential value, their sales price, or what could be their sales price. But that's something to also explore with your agent, because ultimately, there is no buyer out there that isn't going to know how much a particular real estate listing is. They're going to do their due diligence, they're going to do their research, and their agent should also do these things. And also, buyers aren't limited or constricted by particular values when they are searching for real estate. So back in the day, because the way that the internet was structured when it would display real estate listings, it was really tied in a lot to those price ranges. Now it's kind of open on the other end when buyers are searching. They're going to be looking for specifics, a particular amount of bathrooms. Maybe they want a single story house versus a 2-story house. Maybe they want a house on a cul-de-sac because they have kids and they grew up on a cul-de-sac and they remember riding their bikes and those sorts of things. So that brings back a heartfelt emotion from their past. So maybe that's what they want as well. Using that type of criteria in the search is what's going to bring them the listings, exclusive and not including the price ranges. So the price range blocks typically aren't put out there. So then they see those properties and then they determine the value of each. And then they see, well, you know what, maybe I want to see this one. It might be more than my ability to finance or afford, but they're not shy in making a less than asking price offer. I see that all across the board, whether it's in this market and others, because I am tied in to all the real estate news, everything that's happening. There is no drawback to that. So don't be talked into this listing price being such a big thing, as long as those sellers have been made aware that, in fact, it could be an appraisal thing. The appraiser is going to look at that particular real estate listing. They're going to determine the value, and then they will say yay or nay whether the buyer's offering amount was sufficient or is able to be met by that particular lending entity that sent out that appraiser, because that's where the buyer's getting their loan from, and that's a particular type of loan that they're going to use corresponding to that property they're trying to buy. Okay, so that real estate portion of it. In addition, one of the things I talk to my sellers about, whenever you are hiring an agent, it's really important for you to find out what kind of vetting is going on with the offers that are being received, because it could be that the agent that's writing the offer, and nothing against them, they're not maybe familiar with the market. So there are some nuances here in Santa Clarita Valley, some things that people need to be made aware of as far as buyers go. There are properties that have Belarus, for example. There are specific areas of properties that have electrical wiring that could be called into question. That's something to definitely investigate. These are old types of wiring systems that were put into residential real estate back in the day. There are neighborhoods that still have a lot of that. There could be liquefaction, there could be some settling going on. If you're not local to Santa Clarita, or you're not hiring a local Santa Clarita agent, it's definitely something to think twice about. Find out with your how many actually sold out here, just to get an idea. And not trying to throw sellers under the bus, but the sellers also need to be upfront about the condition of their property when their agent does the walkthrough. Whenever they're talking to them about it and they haven't done anything as far as upgrading electrical, but they know that that could be a fire issue or a hazard, it's something to bring up beforehand. Maybe getting that problem fixed prior to even listing the property. Same thing with pool condition. We see a lot of times that there are some plaster bubbling, there is some missing plaster. This is, you know, a $9,000 expense to a buyer depending on pool size. A lot of times when they go and they're spending a premium on a property, they want to have that pool in the best possible condition upon move-in. Now, of course, this can be done later, but a lot of buyers don't want to deal with it. That turnkey aspect of a real estate listing is very important to buyers. Even if that property is overpriced, the buyers are still going to be much more obliging to make that very close to listing price offer, or at least make an offer because that property is in great shape. Sellers took care of it. You can see that pride of ownership, and you can see that they took care of the right things. So when you're looking at a property, right things, kitchens, bathrooms, plumbing, roof, air conditioning, HVAC systems, and also the landscaping on the yard, the different elevations, where that water is going to come when it rains, is there drainage? All of those sorts of things are very important in the Santa Clarita Valley because we don't get a lot of rain, but when we do, sometimes it is a lot. And when a lot of rain happens, sometimes if the grading isn't property and that was missed upon inspection and the agent didn't point it out, you know, you're going to have a lot of water coming into that weep line of the residence, and that's going to be absorbed by the walls, and then you can have issues in the future. These are all those little factors to look at as a real estate buyer, and as a real estate seller, at least head those questions that buyers are going to have off at the pass. Do you have drains in place to take care of this? And most properties do. Just having the wherewithal and the foresight to actually put that out there for those buyers when they do have those questions is incredibly important.